Hey man, who think Diddy innocent, man? That's the real question. Who think Diddy innocent?
Diddy's sentencing is tomorrow, and the way it's looking, man, is not looking good, man. All of Diddy's enemies are coming together to ensure that Diddy get the max. But the question
Damn, they're
is,
trying to give
will
Diddy the
he
match.
prevail? I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Diddy initially tried to get out of jail and have his conviction overturned even before the sentencing, but that was quickly denied. Now, Diddy reasoned for why he believed his conviction of violating the Mann Act twice needs to be overturned is because Diddy believes that he didn't violate the Mann Act due to the legal definition. The definition of the Mann Act is a federal law making it illegal to transport a person across state or national borders for the purpose of engaging in prostitution, debauchery, or other illegal activities.
See, it wasn't illegal. They wanted Diddy. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to party with Diddy.
Or to exploit
Ah,
blank in any way, originally passed in 1910 as the White Slave Traffic Act to address concerns about
the
forced
what?
blank in
Whoa,
human trafficking.
the White Slave Traffic Act is fucking crazy. Let's start there. That's
The
crazy as a
laws
motherfucker.
are broad, it's for immoral purposes. Now, obviously, you guys know the history. Jack Johnson was the first person convicted of this. I think the law was created because of him to stop his interracial marriage. So the law has a flawed history, to say the least. A lot of people believe that this was a shut and closed case and that this was going to be the charge that Diddy would be found guilty on because they believe that there was enough evidence. It's pretty clear that Diddy transported male escorts to engage in rendezvous with Cassie and Jane Doe, which is Daffy and Joy, 50 Cent's baby mama. But that's the thing. Diddy was not charged or found guilty for transporting the men across state lines. He wasn't like charged for transporting the male gigolos.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Transporting men across state lines is Hey, if you innocent and they putting that on your name, bro, that's the craziest shit in the world, dog.
Diddy was convicted of the Mann Act for transporting Cassie and Jane Doe across state lines. Diddy perspective is hold on. Cassie and Jane Doe aren't sex workers. Y'all said they were victims of mine. And I didn't force them to engage in prostitution. They didn't engage in prostitution. The male gigolos did. Not my girlfriends. Those are girls that I was dating. So did he believe that when the prosecutors and the judge gave the jurors like the instruction sheet, they believed the instructions were off and it was wrong? Because the jurors probably voted on the Mann Act because they believe that Diddy transporting male gigolos is a violation of the Mann Act. But if you look at the jury sheet, it says specifically for Cassie and then for Jane Doe, which is why there were two counts. It was one count for Cassie, one count for Jane Doe. And they voted that Diddy trafficking, or Diddy transporting Jane Doe and Cassie across state line to engage in rendezvous with male gigolos, that's a violation of the Mann Act. And Diddy is arguing it's not.
Throughout the court filing, the mogul's defense team argues his conviction isn't like other Mann Act cases where the DOJ, for example, limits the prosecutions to cases involving sex trafficking minors or
Man, why couldn't Diddy find somebody that's in his own state? Why you had to fly somebody out, bro? Come on now.
defendants who engage in commercial prostitution enterprises as panderers or call girl operations. They wrote, quote, in other words, only 1% of Mann Act cases we identified involved so-called buyers or Johns. That number alone speaks volumes and corroborates the conclusion that the DOJ does not seek to incarcerate Mann Act defendants who merely purchase prostitution services. During the trial, we learned through testimony what some of the male escorts or entertainers that were hired do during these freak-offs or hotel nights. And that was through the testimony of Daniel Phillips and Sheree Hayes, aka The Punisher.
This a crazy fit, by the way. I'm not gonna lie. This a crazy fit. Bro, Diddy posing as Jesus is crazy. Y'all wanna know what's crazy? Hold on. Look at this jacket right here. That man was born in 69. Oh my God, boy. Hey, with the tongue out is crazy. Diddy tripping, boy.
freak offs or hotel nights, and that was through the testimony of Daniel Phillips and Sheree Hayes, aka The Punisher. Diddy's defense argued this is the only case they've identified where prosecutors claim
Diddy was flying out a man named the Punisher. What the Yo, there's no way he win this case, boy. You might beat the case, but you ain't beating the freak allegations, though. Yeah, that's over with.
professional consenting adult males were Mann Act victims. Writing, the government now claims that the male escorts were Mr. Combs's victims, but this is apparently the only case in Mann Act history where the government has argued that consenting professional adult male escorts or entertainers who made thousands of dollars were victims. The Mann Act did not originally treat men as victims, and Congress never anticipated such an application of the statute. They argue the time he served has been punishment enough, especially serving time at MDC Brooklyn. His team argued the mogul is routinely subjected to violence, both directed at him and at others.
That got swiftly denied by the judge. However, it hasn't been all the way bad. He received some good news. So, one of the victims that the prosecutors listed as one of Diddy's victims is Gina. Gina is the girl that Diddy has been dating on and off now for the last 5 or 6 years. She was supposed to testify at court and she went ghost. Like, she got low. Like, she went out of town, couldn't be found until trial was over. She wrote a
She trying
letter
to
to
get
the
that
judge, letting the judge
money.
know
She trying to
that she
get
was
that
actually coerced by
money.
the
She trying to get a
prosecutors
bag.
and she believed that
Talking
Diddy
about,
should be freed tomorrow. This is probably hard to read on your end because it's tiny, but Gina writes to the judge and she says, "Dear Judge Submaranian, I know you're a sentencing Sean Combs on Friday, and I have been thinking a lot about it. I saw in the press letters were submitted by many concerning the sentencing. No one asked me or told me to write this letter, but I felt my voice should be heard as I was identified as victim 3 in this case. And I understand changes that were brought concerning me, including
charges.
accusations of egg trafficking and postush. All right, we can't say the full word due to YouTube guidelines. I cooperated fully with prosecutors. I met with them 3 times, answered 3 questions, and gave them all the information and evidence I had, including pictures, videos, and text messages from my phone. During those meetings, I felt pressured to feel like a victim. I told them I was not, but they insisted that I was, even when I expressed my truth otherwise. I understand they concluded that I had been trafficked and involved in forced pollution with him or others. That would have been my testimony if I called to the stand. I was subpoenaed and fully prepared to testify and answer all questions truthfully, but I was informed by my lawyers that I would not be called to take the stand. I want to emphasize that I understand the seriousness of this case and the pain others may feel. I cannot speak for anyone but myself. In terms of sentencing, I kindly ask that you consider releasing him back to his family. I understand throughout the process he has been cooperative and respectful, including turning himself in. Throughout this process, he has never once reached out to me or made me feel uncomfortable in any way. I believe he will continue to be compliant with the court's conditions upon release. I understand that accountability is important, and I am not writing this to dismiss the gravity of the charges, nor to criticize anyone. I write to express my perspective as a so called victim. I write to express how I felt during the investigation of trial and how I feel now waiting to hear the sentence. I felt compelled to share my own perspective honestly. I respectfully ask that you take my words into consideration when making your decision. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to be heard. Again, man, this is one of the down bottom bit, man. Listen,
She trying to
the
get
interview
the
she did an interview
bag.
with Tasha K about 3 to 4 years ago, and here's how I know she a down bottom bit. During that interview with Tasha K, she talked about how Diddy whooped her. Diddy gave her a Vegeta punch combo so vicious she lost the baby she was pregnant with. That Diddy ain't
Damn,
want the
beat
baby,
the
so Diddy
baby
took
out.
it by force. She talked
Shit.
about how Diddy was suffocated, all type of stuff, man. All right. but she went right back with Diddy
Suffocate is
afterwards.
nasty work.
And then when Diddy was dating Young Miami, she was the side chick. So she done held it down for years. She's the bottom bitch. And prosecutors actually wanted to call her to testify. She was ordered to testify. And then once she got low and went missing, prosecutors thought, well, it wouldn't be wise to bring her to testify because she would just testify in his favor. And they probably thought, okay, Diddy paid her off, and then stopped requesting for her to come and testify. Now, she wrote some good things here. It was amazing. But I don't think this
It ain't
letter
enough.
from someone who
Yeah.
went low or got missing during court
Yeah, it ain't
would
enough.
override the letters from Diddy's quote unquote victims. Cassie and her parents wrote the judge asking the judge to bury Diddy. Cassie's so cold, dog. Yo, Cassie got $30 million and she still ain't happy. Cassie is the reason why Diddy didn't get a bond after trial to await sentencing from home, even though that was routine and protocol for the Mann Act. No, Cassie wanted Diddy to stay in prison, and she asking for the mask. Okay,
Man,
so
looking to
Cassie wrote,
highlight it.
"Dear Judge,
Multi-day freak offs is ridiculous. Man, you telling me it took over 48 hours for you to get it out your system, Diddy? That's crazy. Allegedly. I'm just saying, that's crazy.
Submarinian, I
Free
have been
Diddy.
in a cycle of thoughts and then overthought writing this letter to you. If there is one thing I have learned from this experience, it is that victims and survivors would never be safe. Big, you got 30 M's, man. All right, you somewhere on an island right now, cooling, chilling, sipping mimosa, eating watermelon, man. Wanting that man to starve in prison. Now you cold, Cassie. Although I can hope for justice and accountability, I have come to not trust anything. I hope that your decision considers the truth at hand that the jury failed to see. Oh, now Cassie cold, man. We ain't never met nobody colder than Cassie. Cassie just asked the judge, listen, judge, I know you're supposed to get judged by the jury of your peers, okay? It's your peers is supposed to judge you. And I know it's the jury decides what the truth is. So if the jury convicts you of only the Mann Act, then you are guilty of only the Mann Act. Cassie telling the judge, hold on, judge. For me, judge, yo, that jury was BSing. Forget the jury, bruh. Take into consideration that you know for a fact he trafficked me, he beat me up, he strangled me, he coerced me by force and fraud into what? Who asked the judge? That's illegal, by the way. You can't do that, by the way. The judge has to consider only what Diddy was charged and convicted of, not the other stuff he was found not guilty. Yo, Cassie is saying, hey, judge, I know he got found not guilty of these things, but still factor this in when you sentence him. Yo, bro,
Like
Cassie's
what?
cold, man.
Delusional.
Cassie says, for 4 days in May, while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testify. Oh my God. I testify in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testify.
Why you bringing your son into this? First of all, your son should be a damn shame to you. Fuck that. You nasty
That
mother
from age
man. What?
19, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of abuse. He
19. You have been grown and of age for 2 years. What is you talking about? You nasty ass girl.
groomed me into performing
You
repeated
was in them freak
man.
offs
Cassie,
willingly.
you was dating somebody older than Diddy before Diddy. Your boyfriend was almost 40 when you was 19 before Diddy. Cut it out, bro. All right, Diddy ain't cut it out, man. I was forced into lingerie and heels. Listen, man, I'm not trying to minimize any victim's experience. So if I sound overzealous, I apologize for that, okay? But come, you was forced into
Exactly.
lingerie and
Come the
heels.
fuck on.
All right, man.
Stop it.
Told exactly how to look and plied with drugs and alcohol so he could control me like a puppet. These events were degrading and disgusting. Every male gigolo that testified said that Cassie was the aggressor. Cassie was the one controlling everything. Cassie was the one asking for more. Cassie was the one asking for multiple men at the same time because she enjoyed it so much. Cassie was the one
Uh
asking.
oh. Uh oh. Hold on. Hold on, Cassie. They on your ass. Nah. Hold on. Freak ass little girl. Man, this gotta be your mom. Yeah.
Asking them to. All right, Cassie. Yeah, it was like disgusting. Okay, and this right here ain't even about Cassie. This is a trend, by the way. Okay, when it comes to both men and women, humans, they do all this hoeing for years. Then they get into a long-term relationship, get a white picket fence of a family, and then start to look back and judge their former selves. She probably has brainwashed herself into thinking she's a good, wholesome wife. That she looks back and think, man, all that hoeing I was doing, nah, I couldn't possibly have done that by free will. Right? So then, it
You
continues, okay?
did.
So it says,
I got
I
bad news
testified
for
that I
you.
learned to read Sean Combs' signals, knowing that when he spoke of freak offs, he was demanding them. And that refusing meant punishment, losing my car, my phone, or worse. He controlled every part of my livelihood and threatened.
You ain't have your own cheese, your own ciabatta? Come on, now you have your own ciabatta. What you doing? What you doing, Cassie? Come on, you was making. I love. What was that song she had? I forget what it was. I don't even know.
To destroy my
She had a
reputation by
song
leaking
though.
tapes, a threat he repeated often. But Diddy was found not guilty of that. When you read his, Diddy was found not guilty of trafficking Cassie by force, fraud, or coercion. So everything she's saying right here, bruh, the judge can't even take into consideration. He's not allowed to. Diddy was found not guilty of that. She continued. His power over me eroded my independence and sense of self until I felt I had no choice but to submit. When he believed I had wronged him or was not
Submit is
sufficiently
crazy.
responsive, he also threatened people around me and those close to me, including my family. I regularly worried that displeasing him meant putting my family and friends' safety at risk. I
Stop it.
testify how beyond these threats, Sean Combs frequently used violence to get his way. Over the nearly 11 years we were together, Sean Combs would hit me, punch me, stomp on my face, pull my hair, and throw my body to the
You.
ground. Now, if you thought she would leave it up to the judge to just interpret what she wants, if you thought she would leave it up to the judge to just, hey, judge, here's my experiences. You give whatever you think is
Nah, she
fair.
ain't that type
No.
at all.
Cassie has
She is not
demands
that
for the
type.
judge that she wants for the judge to impose on Diddy. Cassie goes, I still have nightmares and flashbacks on a regular, everyday basis
Stop
and
it.
continue to require psychological care to cope with my past. My worries is that Sean Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality. I have, in fact, moved my family out of the New York area and am keeping as private and quiet as I can possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial. As much progress as I have made in recovering from his abuse, I remain very afraid of what is capable of him and the malice he undoubtedly harbors towards me for having the bravery to tell the truth. His defense attorney claims he is a changed man and he wants to mentor abusers. I know firsthand what real mentorship means, and this disgusts me. Not a bit saying, man. That a man she hasn't talked to, according to her, in 7 years, she now knows who that man is today, and him mentoring anybody is an insult to her, and the judge should take that into consideration. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Okay, it continues. Okay, I know that who he was to me, the manipulator, the aggressor, the abuser, the trafficker, is who he is as a human. He has no interest in changing or becoming better. He would always be the same cruel, power hungry, manipulative man that he is. When I came out with my allegations in my civil case, he denied it. And then she continued and says, while the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in freak offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim. I know the jury did not convict him of trafficking me by force or coercion, but your sentence should reflect
Like
as if he
what?
did.
Like she tripping,
Are
dog.
you out of your mind? Listen, Cassie's so cold that her writing a letter wasn't enough. No. Her writing a letter was not enough. Cassie got her parents to write a letter to the judge, man. Now the
A
parents,
grown woman, by the way.
even more harsh than Cassie, bro. They trying to bury this man Diddy, bro. Cassie parents writes the judge, okay? And Cassie parents said, listen, judge, okay? Our daughter is dealing with the psychological, emotional, as well as the physical aftermath of the abuse she endured at the hands
Hey,
of the
hold on. Look
defendant.
at the comments on the right. Get the money back then, Cassie. You know she ain't giving them rackies up.
She will be
Stop it.
left to deal with the trauma of his abuse far beyond that measly 27-month sentence with time served as suggested by the defense attorneys. Your Honor, listen, okay? We believe the charges that the defendant was convicted of are not only federal crimes, but they are also severe violations of human self-worth and freedom. Clearly a vile abuse of power coupled with an immense disregard for human life. To sentence lightly in this case that involves such vicious abuses of our daughter's bodies, safety, and dignity is to dismiss her very existence. To sentence lightly would also send a dangerous message. Now, the suggested sentence by Diddy's attorneys is 27 months. They said that 27-month sentence that might be handed down in months instead of years will send a message that such repulsive behavior can happen without meaningful consequences. They said change the 27 months to 27 years. Change the 27 months to 27 years. The max the judge can give Diddy is 20 years. Just like Cassie, her parents is asking the judge to
They
violate
are
Diddy's constitutional
overdoing
right
this,
to
boy.
give Cassie
All the
whatever justice
way.
they think that Cassie, bruh, 30 million is enough. Diddy
If you gotta do all that just to get somebody convicted, you know damn well they innocent. Stop it.